Rebel Ridge, and it's directed by a guy called Jeremy Saulnier, who directed Green Room. If you remember the film Green Room, and he directed Green Room and he directed Blue Ruin. And Green Room, you remember that's the one about the band where they end up playing for a bunch of Nazis.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, he directed that. And this film, it is okay. It starts off right. It kicks off, and you have this guy who's on a bicycle, and he's just cycling his bicycle like on this sort of dirt road, and it looks like a Southern American town, that kind of thing. You know the kind of place where you have like a bridge over the creek and everything like that. And he's cycling on the bike, and he has some Bluetooth headsets in, and you start on his face, and then the sort of like camera pulls out, and as you pull out, you realize, I should say, he's a black man. And as the camera pulls out, you realize that there's a police car behind him. And the police car is sort of weaving back and forth behind him. And then the police car just hits him and knocks him off the bike. And that is like, I'm telling you, this is the first minute of the film. That's the first minute of the film.
Ooh.
Police car knocks him off the bike. He falls on the floor, and then he's like, "What's going on?" And they're like, "You were evading arrest. We were trying to wave you down. We said that you should." And he's like, "No, I'm sorry. I didn't hear anything." And so they take him out. They sort of like search him and everything like that. They open up his bag, and there's this whole thing that goes on with there's one guy on a bicycle and two policemen in patrol cars show up to deal with one guy on a bicycle. And they sit down, and then they start taking things out of his bag, and they say, "What's this here? What are you doing here? There's this bag. Is this drugs? Are you carrying drugs?" It's like, "No, it's not drugs." And then they're like, "Can we search it? Do we have?" And he's like, "You don't have my permission to search that." And then they're like, "Well, we're gonna have to get a sniffer dog out to make sure that it isn't drugs." And then because of that, you can see that he's on time pressure. He's on time pressure, and he's like, "Okay, fine, you can search it." They search the bag, and they find that there's $36,000 in the bag. And they go, "What's this for then? What's this for?" He's like, "I need to go bail my cousin out of jail, and I need to do it in the next hour. I need to bail my cousin out of jail in the next hour, and if I don't do it, it's going to be bad." And then they go, "No, we're seizing the money because we think that this might be related to drugs money."
Yeah.
And apparently it is, and that's legal. That is legal. Like,
they can do that, can they?
They can do that.
My God.
And a big part of this film is like the police can do that. Like legally, you can do that. And so it becomes this whole thing where they take his money, and he's trying to get it back because he's trying to bail his cousin out. He's like, "Look, I need to bail my cousin out because I have real time pressure. My cousin's in danger if I don't bail him out." And as things go on, they take his money, and it shows that this is something that they've been doing to a whole bunch of people. But it turns out that this guy was in the Marines. This guy was in the Marines, and when they're trying to look up him, they find all these letters behind his name that they don't understand what they mean to begin with. They don't understand what these letters mean, but it turns out that this guy is kind of like Rambo. And then the film becomes, short, I'm telling you, it's like one of these, you know when you talk about a lean, muscly film that doesn't really have much fat on it?
Yes.
The first hour of this film is just kind of, and I think you would love it because everything is done in a, that makes sense.
Oh,
I will
right.
do that.
This try is and get a plan. To see this then.
He's like, "Okay, this is a plan I'm going to make. I'm going to make this plan. I'm going to do this. And the things happen, and you're like, hang on a second, but if you do that, that's not going to, oh, hang on, they've thought about this. That works.
I like that.
And I think the first hour of this film is so tight. It's so good. I mean, when I sent a text to you saying, "Sean, I think you like this film," it was during that first hour, and I was like, "Oh my God." And I think later on, because the film has more on its mind and doesn't just want to be like, a revenge thriller or something like that. It doesn't just want to be an action movie. It's talking about corruption in the police. It's talking about what happens when you can just give the police sort of powers to do it. And it's doing all these sort of things. And it has Don Johnson as the sheriff. Don Johnson in the film was the sheriff. And Don Johnson this is the third role I have seen in the last couple of years of Don Johnson playing sort of American, probably police chief kind of official with possibly a racist bent. He did it in Django Unchained.
Django, yeah.
He did it in Watchmen, and now he's doing it again. And he's really good at doing it, but I'm like, Don, you might want to stop doing that. but honestly, I mean, the way this film goes, I feel like this film, it's almost kind of like, imagine if someone did an action movie, but they said everything has to make sense. Everything has to come to. And there is one bit at the end, and there's a whole bunch of things where they explain the plan, they explain the plot, they explain what's going on. And there's bits of it where I think, okay, if I was in America, I might understand that bit a little bit more. And there is one bit at the end that I still don't fully understand why that happens. Where I'm like, okay. And it's one of the, it's one of those things where they might have explained it in the film, and this is why one of the things why I would like you to watch it, and I'd like you to sort of come back and let me know. Okay, I'm getting off the stage. I'd like you to watch it, and I'd like you to let me know if you had the same issue I had with this one.
Right.
Where, like they have this bit like towards the end where I'm like, is that a bit convenient? Why would that? Okay, I guess if I think about it, I can imagine why that would, but I'm not sure the film makes that clear, and I'm not sure whether I was just being distracted by children. I'm not sure whether I just don't understand America enough or anything. But that bit was the only bit. But apart from that, I thought this was a brilliant film.
I might try and hunt this one out then.
Oh, it's on Netflix. It's just
right, okay, that's cool.
It's on Netflix, nice and simple. Yeah, Rebel Ridge. But I think you like it. I mean, Aaron Pierre, who plays the main character, he is good. He is just really, really believable.
Has he been in anything else? Has he been in?
He's been in. Oh, there was this film that he was in with Paul Mescal and Saoirse Ronan, about going away to the moon and mining. I can't remember what the name of it was, but it's on Amazon Prime. He was in a film called Brothers. He's a British actor, but honestly, he's kind of like really, really believable as an American. Like I think pretty much flawless as an American. But he's an up and comer, Aaron Pierre, and and the guy is just on it. He is just good in this film. It's like there's no one point where you're like, oh, I don't know about that. There's hardball dialogue. There's Sean, go watch it. Go tell me what you think.
I'll go watch it. Those.
I'll give it a 4 out of 5. I'll give it a 4 out of 5. I think it's really, really good.
That's a must watch then.